When I was a kid, I went into a music store and cried and begged to my father, please let me buy the CD with the beautiful chick on it. It turns out that CD would have a song that would stay with me till... So when I started working on this modern Euro dance pack, I was like, yo, we gotta add this sound to it. Such a sick sound. And then I even used it in a little demo. Check it. Such a sick sound that, one of you guys has to use it. But the point of this video today is to show you guys a bit of what makes the sound work, but also, why does it sound so dope? Why? And we're going to talk a bit about auto panning, filter modulation with LFOs, an insane delay, which to some it might not be insane, but to me it is. And I know if you're a new producer, you're probably going to be like, wow, I can try this in my song, because that's what I'm all about, is teaching you guys, inspiring you guys to make the best music. As your sound designer, I always want to give you guys the best. So let's get into this, guys. So I cheated a bit because I actually went online and I figured out that this patch was made by Rob Papen for a synth known as the Virus V. And from there, I figured out it was called Ukmuk, and that there was a free VST out there known as Oscillators. It's not so free because you need the original ROMs in order to be able to use it. But from there, once you get the ROMs, if you have a friend, just beg, please, may I have some ROMs, dog? And you'll be able to, again, find like some presets in there. Some are good, some are bad, of course, like every other synth. But if you get the V1, it has the Ukmuk preset, RP, which stands for Rob Papen, a sound designer that I actually ended up looking up, has a good career, has made presets for a bunch of synths. And to me, it's very inspiring to know that he made this preset, which is literally the one that Lasker used. But from there, I studied it. I looked at everything. I also looked at the filters, the LFO, the effects, and I tried my best to make it in Serum. And this is what I came up with after an hour or two of dabbling with it. So because I really wanted to put it in a pack for you guys so you guys can use it in a song. And as you saw, it's so good for like just using with like rolling bass, or even like in melodic techno, just distort it a little more. The original sounds hit squares, and usually squares when they're detuned sound very, very like spacey. Like almost like a video game. But if we start to add a bit of release, we have all got this, lower the sustain, get some decay, starts to sound kind of like more than Icken if you make tech house, right? Super cool sound. From there was also an FM from a post triangle, which I think means positive triangle. Positive FM, which I to be honest, I don't even know what it means to this day. I read the manual on the Virus TI, and it's a positive FM triangle, so who knows what that means. But from there, I was like, okay, I think we can mimic it with this. So if we put this to 5, detune, or let's do 6, go up to the same, we get that sound, which is what I heard when I was on the Virus, the OS Tyrus. I was studying the patch and I soloed the FM and it sounded like this. So I was like, okay, we're going to go with this one. From there is a PWM modulation that occurs. And in Serum, we can activate that here. And that's the first thing that the sound has that makes it interesting, because this warp feature, which changes the wavetable, applies movement, which is one of the most important things I feel in the sound. So we're going to do it as well here. We're going to use this LFO, which I call LFOs knob turners that are loopable. So you just keep playing and they will go. When it's not set to trig and it's set to off, it will just start to move no matter where you're at, and it will just continue doing it. When the BPM is set off, it's also going to be based more on the hertz you apply, and it's not going to try and be in sync every single time. So it's going to be cool for having a sound that's constantly changing, so that when you're working on a song, you can always change something, and it just makes the sound more alive and less static, And if you already know, many people, when they say dance music, they're like, oh, emotionless. It doesn't, it sounds like robots, etc. But I feel like the type of dance music they're hearing is probably not the good kind. Chiasmos looped is insane, and it's very emotive. Bent. From there, you have the Afro House movement. As you know, as much as some people hate it, the sounds on there also come to life due to the automations, modulations that the producers apply, as well as in melodic house. So here we can do this. And you can already hear that movement. Right now, from here, when I was doing the remake, and to get the other thing we're gonna add to is some noise, because it gives us that effect. But we're gonna have it somewhere here. Now, the next thing that the sound has that makes it interesting, and this is not part of the programming that Rob Papen did, but this is more of a mixing decision. And I've also had people tell me there's this Beltran track out there which has this effect, and people have been asking how to do it. The effect is all based on an autopan, and the autopan effect is super interesting because pretty much what happens is it's literally like someone's moving to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. It's a very underrated effect, I would say, but I will also say I've worked with producers on some of their music where I'll do it because I think it sounds badass, and they'll get mad and say, no, you're not doing that. And I'm like, you're lost, man. It adds so much movement to your song, which sounds static. But from here, you can use another LFO and route it to the pan of each one. And again, you can do this too with like Panman from Sound Toys, and also Ableton has an auto pan effect, which does the same exact thing. From there, we're also going to get rid of the BPM and anchor and just move it to the left. And that's how we get that movement. So now if we play this real quick, so you can kind of hear it. Brought all three of these sounds into a filter, and this is where the second part of the magic occurs, which is the filter opens and it moves as well. Now, if you want to get super exact, then by all means, hear the song and try and fine tune the LFO. And we can move that back and forth like that. Now, if we want, we can also add this envelope here to add the move, like snap to the sound. Or, and you can do this if you want to. There's plugins out there like Filter Freak from Sound Toys, with the Wild Filter and Volume Shaper or Shaper Box, and it has the filter stuff, movement. So these are things you can add to your sound. Let's say you're using a preset from Evil Sounds, then from there add it at the end of the chain to make it come to life more if you need the movement. Let's open this up more. The next interesting thing about the sound for me is the delay. And I always ignored the tap delay in Serum, but if you click on it, if the sound is wide, the delays will always come down the center in mono, as you can see. So the crazy thing about the mixing of that lead, right, is that the lead is auto panning and the delay is coming from the center, like this. And to me, that is just crazy. I mean, to some of you guys, maybe you're like, oh, like, yeah, whatever. But to me, that's like, what? If you think about mixing in that sense, bro, auto panning the lead, and then you're like, well, the delay is going to sit on top of the lead and it's going to sound messy, so let's put it down the center. It's genius in a sense. And then just the depth it adds to the sound is crazy, right? So you don't have to use Serum to do this trick. I mean, just grab any delay and maybe mono it, or maybe it's a space echo delay or a tap delay. I mean, I really don't know. But it's a cool effect that we can do in Serum. Thank you, Steve. Okay, from there, we're gonna add a chorus, duplicates the sound, a lot more modulation. We're gonna lower the rate, the depth. And then the next thing we can add is a flanger. Getting EQ to remove the lows. From here, I always like to use the Serum filter, resonance up. And as you already know here, we can add drive there to beef up the sound and drive here. You gotta be careful not to distort it too much. But again, the sound gets super finicky, super finicky. But to me, the craziest thing about this sound, as we were talking about, is all the modulations that are being applied to it in order to make it sound the way it sounds. The auto pan, the filter moving. You don't. To be fair, I even don't feel like, what the hell is this? Emojis. The eggplant's my most used. With that being said, this lead is one of my favorites, and it's in the new Poppy Trance Volume 2 pack, which is going to be coming out at the end of this week. And I'm super grateful that we are part of this universe, because the multiverses, as you guys know, various variations of it, and I'm glad I'm part of this variation with you guys, where we can learn to make this damn sound and finally know its quirks. With that being said, you guys take care, and if you want to watch another video to up your production game, you can check this one out. You guys take care, and you guys have a great rest of your day.